Sometimes you buy a guitar just because you think it looks cool. And that's why I bought this. Because after all, how many guitars do you need?
Just one more, just one more.
So we're always buying new guitars, right? But why do we buy a specific type? What governs that choice? Maybe it's because one of our guitar heroes played that guitar. Yeah, I mean, we've all been there. We've all bought a guitar because our favourite players played it on certain records, or we saw them on stage with it, and we fell in love with that guitar. We might also buy a guitar because we're doing a particular show, and for that we need specific sounds which we can't get out of a guitar we've already got. Or at least we think we can't get those specific sounds. Maybe you're a single coil player and you now need some humbuckers for some studio work or home recording or for some gigs you're going to do, or just because it completes the set. You can't live one day longer without there being some P90s in your room. All these are great reasons to buy a new guitar of a different style. But there is another reason, and sometimes it's just you see a guitar and you think, that's for me. I love the way that looks. I don't even need to try it. I'm going to buy it. And so it was with me with this Jaguar. And you'll notice it's a Squire. I didn't splash the cash on this. I wouldn't have bought a vintage Jag not knowing whether or not I got on with Jags or didn't. This was a Squire, and I got it off eBay for not a lot of money. So it was pretty much a no-brainer. So took the plunge and bought me this vintage modified Squire finished in surf green. So it's not my intention in this video to do a product review of this guitar, run you through all the switches and how everything works and the sounds you can get out of it, etc. Some of that might happen along the way on this video, but it's unintentional. The reason for this is because I wanted to share my journey with this guitar with you, just in case some of you might find it useful. Because when I got this out of the box, I thought it looked nice, but it didn't play very well. Didn't hold its tuning very well. The tone was a bit thin and weedy, and nothing about it was particularly great. Now, I didn't spend a lot of money on it intentionally. This was less than £300 I spent on this, but I did want to use it as a gigging guitar. I don't require all the guitars that I play week in, week out to be particularly expensive. In fact, it's quite nice if they're not so expensive when you're taking them out and about in some of the places you end up playing. But I wanted it to be able to work. I didn't buy it just to be a wall hanger because I like the look of it. So you've got two choices there. You either go, well, this is not for me. I've played it for a bit and it's not for me. I'm going to shift it on. Or you invest a little time in it and a little bit more money in it and you try and get it working. And if it's not great after that, you hang it on the wall and admire it, or you shift it on. In my case, I really loved the look of it, and actually the offset feel also I liked. It's got a bit of heft to it actually, but it sat quite well with me. So let's go through a few of the things that I did with this guitar to make it a playing guitar. Now we are, I think, about 5 or 6 years down the line. So I've had this guitar for about 5 or 6 years, and it's a playing guitar. I use it all the time. I'm not going to say it's my main guitar, but I do use it consistently. I recorded a whole chunk of my 2021 album, Don't Mind If I Do. Links somewhere down there if you're interested in that album. And why wouldn't you be interested in that album? You should be interested in that album. Great album, even if I do say so myself. But I used this a lot on that record, and in fact I've used it a fair amount on the follow-up record that's coming out later this year. So this is a practical guitar for me. I don't use it for everything, and the reasons for that will become clear. Well, I wouldn't use it for everything anyway, because it's got a specific sound. Even no matter what you do to it, this has definitely got a sound. So there's lots of other sounds that I also want to use, and this wouldn't be fitting for those. But even so, this is a working guitar. I use it a lot. So what did I change? Well, we'll start with the first thing, and that was purely cosmetic. When I bought it, this came with a tortoise shell pickguard. These guitars, the electrics are not attached to the pickguard. It's just sitting on there. The electrics all sitting out in the spaces below. And as much as I like a tortoise shell pickguard, and I do, I really wanted a white one on this. The surf green, to me, demands a white pickguard. So the first thing I'd ordered it, actually, when I ordered this guitar, I also ordered a white pickguard. And they came, within the space of a couple of days. So the first thing I did was I whipped the strings off and put on this white pickguard. Now, the second thing I did was the thing that a lot of people do with these guitars, and that is deal with the bridge. So this is the bridge that came originally installed with this Jaguar, and it's a common complaint on this. There's two problems on the bridge. First of all, the radius of this guitar neck is 9.5, and this is 7.25. Okay, so there's already a problem there. And the second problem, and I don't know if you can see, but those saddles don't hold a string very well. So with strings on this, particularly thin strings on this, they're always flipping out. As soon as you do a heavy bend or just play the guitar hard, there is a tendency for the strings to flip out. In short, after playing this for a very short amount of time, it became clear that a new bridge was required if this was to be a good workable guitar. And what I wanted to do was get a suitable 9.5 bridge that matched the neck. And did a bit of research, and the best company, because a lot of people, what they do is they order a Mustang bridge. So they get a Mustang bridge and they stick it on one of these. It's because the Mustang bridge has better saddles, has a groove in which the string can fit. But the Mustang saddle... Mustang saddle! Guess you better... Anyway, stop. I digress. No, the Mustang saddle has grooves in it, but it's 7.25 again. So it wouldn't actually match this. There's a British company out there. I don't know that they're still making things. In fact, I'm pretty sure that they're not. But they certainly used to. And they're called Stay Trem. And I managed to snag one of these Stay Trem bridges. Great grooves in it. And it's the right width. It's 9.5. It's really well made. Brilliant bit of work. And it cost about £65, I think I paid for that. But it was well worth it, because what it gave me immediately was much better stability for the strings sitting in there, but it gave me better tuning stability as well. It's just a much, much better made bridge. So I put on the Stay Trem as well. Now, in the fullness of time, I think I will replace these pickups. They're Seymour Duncan designed pickups, and they're pretty good. They do give what I would think of as a Jaguar sound. They do give that sort of bright, twangy sound. And actually, I find that the rhythm setting, which a lot of people... because up is for rhythm, or their neck pickup, which is pretty dark. And down is the bridge pickup, which is very, very bright and clangy. In fact, sorry, I tell a lie. Down is for both pickups. And then you can flick off on this switch at the front. You take the neck pickup out and you've just got the bridge one. The bridge one is very, very twangy. And you've got a tone cut here, or mid cut switch there. Master tone here, master volume. But I think I probably will switch out these pickups for something that's got a bit more punch to it, because they're quite low. And I do think there's a better, bigger, brighter, fatter sound out there to be got. Maybe Lola do some pickups, or maybe even some Jaguar, genuine Jaguar Fender pickups, or some other specialist ones. I wonder whether Monty's do them or something like that. But anyway, I haven't changed the pickups, and obviously that's something you could do to improve this. But the next thing I did, that vastly improved it. Obviously pickups would be quite expensive. The bridge was reasonably expensive, but 100% worth it. But the next thing I did, and no, it wasn't the tuners. Again, you could change those out, but I've not had a problem with these tuners. The next thing I did was I got flat wounds on it. And they changed everything on this particular guitar. Obviously, it's a short scale neck. And it was sounding a bit thin, and it was sounding a bit weedy. And I've played flat wounds quite a lot because I do a fair amount of jazz, and I play on my archtop guitar. I use flat wounds, so I'm kind of used to them a little bit more than perhaps some people might be. So I changed these out for flat wounds, but I didn't want heavy flat wounds. So I went for as light a gauge of flat wounds that I could. And I think these are 11s to 46s or 48s, I forget exactly. So they're not ridiculous, but obviously they're still heavier than your average bear, right? So after that, it was just setup. So just the usual things, getting the relief of the neck where I wanted it, intonation, and where the saddles were sitting. You can do intonation on these saddles. It's got the screws there to do it, which in fairness, the old one did as well. Don't know if you can see that. But this one's so much better. So, you know, I did the relief and the intonation, got rid of any sort of buzzing issues that were going, and suddenly this thing sounded a world apart from how it had originally. Started taking out, started using it, really started enjoying playing it, and I gigged it an awful lot. This became my main bog standard. I'm going out on a Friday night to a pub gig or a club gig, I'll have this in the bag. And I played it a lot. And I still do play it. As I say, it's on records that I'm making. Sadly, what I don't have, and what I didn't think of doing at the time, was actually vlogging any of these processes. And I haven't got an awful lot. Well, in fact, I don't have any audio of how this thing sounded before I made those changes, before I changed the bridge, before I changed the strings out on this. So what I can't give you is a comparison, but what I can obviously give you is an idea of what it sounds like now, which I will do shortly. So I guess in short, what I'm saying is, I think this is a really nice guitar. I do find high-end Squiers are often very, very good, and I think this one is as well. I will change the pickups in the fullness of time, and when I do, I'll definitely do a video of it so that we can actually see the difference that makes. Anyway, there it is, the Surf Green Jag of Joy. I'll give you a little bit of audio. pretty clean. Low volume output on these, I must say. They're not punching out an awful lot. And I think that you can probably hear that. If we boost them. Which puts it a bit in the old Well, I don't know. I think there were some pretty sweet sounds coming out of that there. I'm pretty happy with it. The problem is I can't show you what it sounded like before, which is a downside of that. But when I was going through all this, I wasn't really thinking of doing a vlog of it. But I hope you've gained something out of it. I do recommend you try, if you've got one of these, certainly the Squire ones. I can't speak for the Fender ones. They might be set up much better. But I would strongly recommend that you look at putting on some flat wounds on it, and absolute essential that you change the bridge on it completely. I think, as I say, I'm probably going to end up getting slightly more powerful pickups. I don't need a hell of a lot of power in the pickups. I don't mind softish pickups, but these are perhaps a little underpowered, and they certainly are in relation to some of the other guitars I'm using, like Telly and the Gretsch and everything, which pump out a lot more volume. So there can be sort of drastic things I have to do if I'm using all of those guitars in the same gig, just to sort of even out the levels on it. So I would definitely probably change these in, probably. I mean, what sort of a thing is that to say? I will, in the fullness of time, change these pickups out. But they sound sweet enough, and I just ran through one or two sounds there, just to give you an idea. So I hope you enjoyed this. As usual with YouTube, please like, please subscribe. It's boring, I know, but please do it. It costs you nothing, and it's really good for us. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments, and until the next time, I'm still Gavin Lazarus.